water.
And we'll call the meeting to order. Appreciate everyone being here, and especially the board. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the privilege of gathering together in self-government, being able to continue to exercise our rights and freedoms. Grateful for the opportunity to carry the responsibility to some degree for the township and for the others that share that burden as well, Lord. Those who protect us, keep us safe, and do so many other functions around town that we sometimes take for granted. We're grateful. Pray your continued blessing on this township, all those that live here and work here, that you continue to inspire us and bless us to do our best, use our gifts to the utmost of our ability as unto your glory. We ask this in Christ's name. Amen. Amen. You guys would answer the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of
America,
and to the republic for which
it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. And roll call, I guess we're all here this evening. Everyone's present. Very good. Item 5 then, immediately here on the agenda, approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Is there a motion to approve our agenda? Support. Supported. Anyone wish to make a change to the agenda? Okay, hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? All right, tonight's agenda is approved. I asked Kyle Terpstra, our Ottawa County Commissioner, to come tonight. It had been a little while since we'd seen you, Kyle, and I appreciate you saying yes to that invitation, just coming and giving us an update and making yourself available to the board. So appreciate it.
Yep, as you guys know, I'm Kyle Terpstra, 6th District, south of Baldwin. Just want to give some fun updates of the county a little bit. The county millage rates were set in June 9 at the commissioner meeting. The current levied is 3.9 mills, plus there are levies for the 911, parks, and mental health and roads. Together, the total is 5.4156 mills, making that property owners' 6th lowest taxes in Michigan of the 83.
I think has that increase, decrease?
Stayed the same.
Steady? Hold steady, okay.
Yep, stayed the same. Put it in perspective, that's 14 cents of every property tax dollar pays to support Ottawa County, and the others is to support townships, cities, schools, and other entities. The 2020 census came in May. Ottawa County is now the 7th largest populated county in Michigan at 294,635 people. That's the first time it moved above 8 in Michigan. Ottawa County was the fastest growing county in the state between 2010 and 2020 at 11.7% growth. Ottawa County was the 2nd fastest growing county in the state between 2019 and 2020 at 1.1% growth. 40% to 47% of Ottawa County's population is a result of natural increases, meaning between births and deaths, that there were more births than deaths. 53% of the population between 2010 and 2020 was a result of positive migration, meaning more people moved into Ottawa County than moved out. Since 2010, all local units in Ottawa County have either gained or maintained population, which is a good thing. Georgetown Township population grew by 13% between 2010 and 2020, and by 1% in 2019 to 2020. Georgetown Township is the most populated township in Ottawa County.
I think we eclipsed 54,000 now.
Yeah?
I heard, yeah. Really?
Yeah. And then Ottawa County agriculture generates about $506 million annually to the market and the products sold. And Ottawa County is the 3rd largest producing county behind Huron and Allegan County in agriculture. And then some updates on some current events. As you guys probably know, Al Vandenberg is moving on to Kent County. We're doing currently a national search on him. Last I heard, there were 10 candidates that have filed for that position. And as you guys probably know, the health department did a mask mandate on the local kids in Ottawa County. We partnered with Kent County in the decisions of that. In the health department acted on their own with no communication with the board. We didn't know at all before they made that decision. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
On that last point you made, is the county commission in a position to any way affect that order of the health department?
As I'm aware, and some of the representatives I've talked to, over the years, the health department gained that power due to illnesses in the schools before, like chickenpox and flus and stuff like that. I guess it was political back in the day, so they granted the local health departments the authority and power to be able to put mandates like that in place.
Got a question. Ottawa County Health Department county commissioners vote on their budget? Do we have power first?
Majority of that is state funded and mandated.
The portion, if you'd say roughly how much you guys would control?
It would be minimum.
15%, 20, 30?
I don't know the number off the top of my head.
So interim administrator, would that be John Shea?
Yep, it's John Shea.
Okay.
Yep.
Were people surprised that Al moved over to Kent?
No.
You don't know? Okay.
He was at Kent before.
Yeah.
He was there, the deputy there. And I always kind of felt that he always wanted to go home back there, so yeah, wasn't too surprised.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I got one. So I'm hearing rumblings all day today from a lot of different people, and the schools are going for a medical exemption. A lot of Christian schools are, and they're deferring it to Ottawa County Legal Counsel, which. My question is Ottawa County Legal Counsel going to take that on then, or is the school going to take it on? The problem is if a school denies a medical exemption because the Ottawa County Health Department won't take it, then the parents are going to have to go after the schools. And if the legal authority of the county is advising the health department, it's going to get messy. You understand where I'm going with that, right? Because it's going to get messy because your legal counsel for Ottawa County, which I'm not a huge fan of, I'll tell you right up front, could get very sticky if he starts taking a position that he won't accept a medical exemption, and then he's going to start suing schools. But they're looking for guidance from Ottawa County. So I'm just wondering if the commissioners have talked about this at all. Because you do hire legal counsel. That money don't come from the state. That comes from the county.
Correct.
You're the purse for your legal.
Correct. Well, I have not been notified of any of that.
I think it will come down to that. From what I'm seeing and I'm reading with medical exemptions, is if they're going to get advice from the county, then the county better figure out what they want to do because it's going to be a mess.
I'm hearing it's both medical and religious exemptions are being mixed. They're not allowing them. As of earlier today.
There hasn't been much communication to us commissioners, I will say that.
Keep us apprised as you will learn more, it sounds like, soon.
Yep.
Even if you wanted to send the board an email or even come back to a meeting sooner than you otherwise would. You're welcome.
Yep. Oh yeah, I'll keep you guys updated.
Is it possible these statistics are like on a website or something? It's interesting. What you brought up, of how fast our county grew or township grew, the population.
I can email you.
Would you? I'd like to see that. That's kind of fascinating to see how that's all shook out in the last 10 years and where the population growth has gone, and those are all kind of cool things.
Absolutely.
Good. Thanks.
In reference to that communication with the Ottawa County Health Department leaving you in the dark, does that happen a lot?
Yes.
I think
The only way that I found out, or us commissioners found out about the mandate, was a leaked email that I got a hold of from a school superintendent. That's the only way us commissioners were informed.
because I wondered, I think it was last Thursday at 4 o'clock, the Ottawa County Health Department gave a 15-hour notice that they were going to do a skit on Zoom Friday morning. And I just wondered if they notified you guys about it first or
They sent an email out when you guys got there.
same time.
Yeah. Yep. Any others?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
Kyle just mentioned Al is an incredible administrator, and your loss is Kent County's gain. I taught with him for a while. The guy is just very, very detailed
Yep.
and personable. His people skills are exceptional.
Absolutely.
So good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you. While he's being seated, Dan, do you know, is our 54,000 population, does that change our position in terms of size township statewide? Did you look that up at all? I think we used to be 7th and... No, okay. Okay.
I think we're 33rd in the state last time.
Is it
As
that?
far as
Really?
city.
Oh, city and town. Okay.
township.
How about just townships? I'm curious to know.
Haven't
I thought we were
seen the update,
7th
yeah.
at one time. Rob's like, I'm going to figure it out by the end of the meeting. I can see. All right.
All right, Charter Townships, I think we're like 12 or 13.
You think we are? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All probably more to the east, I would
Yeah.
assume, or the middle.
I think Plymouth is the biggest, if I remember correctly.
Okay, item 7, you've all received the communication letters and reports that have been filed for information. Item 8, before we have our initial public comment period, we're going to have a public hearing that we set at a previous meeting on the application by Cellulose Material Solutions, LLC, and they are seeking a industrial facilities tax exemption. And I believe we have representatives here again this evening. We appreciate you gentlemen being with us. At this time, I'd like to call for a motion to open the public hearing on this request.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Anyone wish to discuss that? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so the public hearing is now open. Does anyone here in the public tonight wish to address this request, this tax exemption request? Obviously, we have those requesting it here if they wish to say anything, but otherwise, is there anyone here anyway either supporting or opposing that request? All right, all right, yes, sir.
Thought we'd give a little bit of background information.
Sure.
So, Matt Henderson, Vice President of both CMS and Newell.
Welcome again.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us. We appreciate your guys' willingness to look at our exemption. We have two companies at this location, Newell and CMS, Cellulose Material Solution. We've been in the area since 1949 in Hudsonville, Georgetown, but in Georgetown for the last 45 years since the 90s. Not 45 years. It would be 25 years. There you go. Sorry about that. So the abatement we requested is for Cellulose Material Solutions, an expansion of both the production line, not included in the expansion, and also a facility expansion. The total investment for the company will be a little over $9 million. We're adding 12,000 square feet of office space, like I said, a new production line, and 55,000 square feet of warehouse space to support the new production line. The exemption covers the building expansion, which is just over $4 million of investment. So between both companies, we employ about 114 full-time employees, and with the new line, we'll add another 54 employees to that as our plan. I think a point that we really wanted to make is this is the first time we've actually looked at locating our business outside of the state of Michigan. But after looking at our options on both the West Coast and the East Coast, we just kept coming back to Georgetown Township, West Michigan, and the people and the community, but really the support for business. And we've always, over the last 75 years, have felt a lot of wonderful support from both Georgetown Township and Hudsonville, and so we really thought it was important to continue to invest back here for us and our people to live in a community like this. So thank you, and I can answer any questions if you have any.
Matt, I seem to recall when you come before a couple of things, if I got the right recollection. One is that you're running out of space after this.
We are.
This is probably the last
issue
unless you go up further up.
Yeah, I don't think that's. You're probably not going to grant me in the.
And I think the other was that of your 110 or so employees, that a good percentage of them are Georgetown residents.
Yes,
so that you're not only a taxpayer, but you employ taxpayers and residents.
And we've seen a lot of employees move into the area after from other areas, Grand Rapids, Rockford, Cascade, after working and seeing the community. So
it's quite a large add of employees.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone?
Great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public? I'm sorry, we're still during the public hearing. Anyone wish to speak in addition to Matt? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close our public hearing?
So moved. Support.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, public hearing is closed. At this time, is there a motion with regard to this request?
So moved.
Support. All right, so it's a move, I assume, Gary, to approve.
Approve, yeah.
All right. And then supported by Michael. I know we've heard from them previously and read the materials. Is there anything more that the board wishes to discuss among us today before a vote?
I think it was a pretty minimal. Was it savings-wise in property taxes?
Yeah. I remember you asking that of Dan, and he gave us a figure, and it was, okay, that's not.
Was it 6,000? I'm going from memory here. 4,600. Because of the increased value.
Yeah.
Right.
And that property tax, that 4,600 savings, is that property tax, which would be summer taxes? Or how does that work, that 4,600? How much affects us? How much affects the county? How much affects strictly the township? Okay.
All right. This is a roll call vote. So I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Mr. Schwam.
Yes.
Ms. Steele.
Yes.
Mr. Belnick.
Yes.
Mr. Treasurer.
Yes.
Clerk is a yes. Supervisor.
Yes. And it passes. So thank you, Jonathan, for coming, and good luck and congratulations on your growth there. Okay, item number 9, public comment period for action items remaining on the agenda this evening. So your agenda is on the screen, but it's also online and maybe even on your phone if you've got us pulled up. And you can see that we've got a few items here yet remaining on the agenda. If anyone in the public wishes to address as to those items, now would be the time. And then, of course, later on in the meeting, we'll have another public comment period about anything you wish to bring up. And so just state your name and address, and each person has 3 minutes. Yes, welcome, Kim.
2407 Basswood in Jenison. The item on the agenda I'd like to speak about is the interview process for the trustee replacement. When these things come up, it gives us an opportunity to look at our policies and our procedures. So I do think it would be helpful, now that you've had to replace more than once, that there was a policy in place for that, and I would encourage you to include people who did run for that office if they want to do a replacement as part of your policy in terms of interviewing. So I think if you looked at doing an actual policy for replacement and that was available to the public, it would lend more transparency, would make all of us more comfortable with how that's going to happen. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Others? Anyone else? Of course, each of the candidates will have your 10 minutes yet to come, so others of you here. Al, do you want to complain about Ryan or anything? Or anybody up here? You all good? All right. Seeing none, at this time we'll close the initial public comment period. Item 10, the consent agenda. Does any member wish to remove an item from the consent agenda this evening?
Yeah, I'd like to pull 10.2.
Okay, 10.2. Approval of the bills. And, approval of the bills. Where do you think that would fit best, Michael?
That was approval of the minutes from the last meeting.
Oh, my agenda has bills as 10.2. Sorry.
It's 10-1.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, 10-1I.
We got
Okay.
210, or is that a 10.1J?
All right.
Is it 210.1? Can you zoom in? Oh, 10.1.I.
Okay. Pull out the minutes.
Pull out the minute.
All right. Why don't we make it the next item right after this, yeah?
That's fine.
No reason to delay it further. Okay. As to the remainder of the consent agenda, though, is there a motion to approve with that one change?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Anyone opposed? Consent agenda is approved with that one removal. Let's talk then about that, Michael, that item you've removed.
So the reason I pulled that is because, and I should have caught it at the last meeting, when we unanimously approved the finance committee meeting minutes. And I just wanted it on record that those minutes were not accurate. The consensus.
2 minutes?
Yes,
right.
I believe I'd have to pull it up.
I
But
think
it was
it's fine.
it was the item of the policy of interviewing, and it was unanimous that the policy was each board member will vote for 3 candidates. And then those that get 3 or more votes will move on. And then the minutes got changed somehow or incorrectly entered to state up to 3, which is not correct. That was something we discussed after the meeting in the parking lot. So it's obvious there was no discussion of it. And I think Ryan was there. And then also, it was discussed previously at a service, just in discussion in the service meeting, I think the week before, where service kind of talked about it. And the consensus of them too was each board member will vote for, choose 3 candidates, not up to. So I just wanted to reflect that.
You're saying, was that part of a discussion in the parking lot? Because I don't remember talking about
Yeah,
that. I remember
you,
talking about
Rod, and Dan were talking outside the office in the parking lot, and you said, well, could I vote up to 3? I don't have to do all 3?
And that didn't come up during the meeting?
No.
Okay.
Nope, it was.
I'm 56
And
tomorrow,
I think I can ask Ryan what his opinion of that.
My motion was for 3. Have a vote of 3. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. With that in mind, is there anywhere to go with that, Michael?
No, and I think it's water under the bridge, but I just wanted it to be noted on record. And who was, Rod took meeting minutes that day? Yes. Okay.
All right.
Just on that topic, services, when, Ryan or John, correct me if I'm wrong, but when services, in our meeting, we were talking about this process, this interview process. It was all hypothetical because we knew it was up to finance to set it. So we were kind of saying, could they do this or could they do this or what are they thinking? Not like what are they thinking, but just like a general curiosity. So the services committee members, at least I'll speak for myself, but we were well aware that we were in no way part of setting the process, and we were just kind of casually brainstorming and throwing some opinions out there. So to say that we wanted up to 3 or something like that, I would say is inaccurate if we're just sharing things to put them on the record. It was kind of hypothetically. So like, might the finance committee come up with something like everybody lists their top 3? I was just asking some questions. So
Yep.
I know that it wasn't under services committee's purview to set any sort of policy.
Yep, and I wasn't saying that services sets policy, just saying it came up in general discussion. It wasn't an agenda item or forwarded to the board. But I think it's another thing that looking back on, and I know Catherine was very adamant about transparency, and I too would like finance, services, utilities, election, everything done in this boardroom on video. So there's less chance of that to happen again, just because it's happened in the past. I think it wouldn't hurt to go, have it available to the public. And I'd like to see ZBA and Planning Commission as well, just for record, maybe not public on those, because it's a little bit different for most of the Planning Commission members, that fear of being on video. But at least we have recorded.
All right.
We got accuracy. I guess
it's kind of a solution looking for a problem, but I think ultimately we got the best, highest vote getting candidates. We got a series of several really good ones, and I don't think that would have changed.
No,
would have changed.
I don't think it would have.
So, all right. Well, it's really noted. I appreciate it. Item number 11, the 20.
We have to vote to then accept those minutes since we removed them from consent agenda.
Sure. Okay. Is there a motion to approve the board minutes from the last meeting?
So moved.
Support.
Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Aye.
All right. Minutes are passed. Now, item 11, 2022 draft budget initial review. We're just going to open this for discussion. I've asked Dan to facilitate this discussion. The Finance Committee, of course, looks at the budget first, and we did so at our most recent meeting. We try to do so early enough that then you're able to review. We have comments here tonight. You can make comments, ask questions of Dan or Rod, who are integral to setting up the proposed budget for our review. Anytime you wish, whether it be in a meeting or outside a meeting. And then ultimately the plan that we set in motion some months ago was we would have a public hearing in September. If I'm not mistaken, perhaps the 13th is our next. And then a vote following that the next time, actually having the public hearing, and then a vote after the public hearing to approve of the budget. The last meeting in September, do I have that right, Dan, if I recall?
Sure.
Or possibly in the first meeting in October.
So this is a part of the budget process that the goal today is to produce a document to show to the public. So you have a draft, just numbers that we've prepared, giving you a chance to see it. And then when you recommend today, or you don't have to do any recommendation, we'll take this document and then put it on our next agenda. So you're going to have 3 opportunities basically to make changes initially. So the first one is today, to make any changes you want. Then we will put it on our agenda on the 13th, where we'll ask you to tentatively approve it. And once it's tentatively approved, then we'll publish it for the public hearing. And the public hearing is on the following meeting, so a month approximately from now on the 27th. At that meeting, we'll conduct a public hearing and finally adopt it. Now recognize, even when the budget's adopted, you can make changes. So you're confirming the millage rate, and the millage rate proposed in this budget is the same. Last year it was lowered from 2.75 to 2.25, and this budget contains the same millage rate at 2.25. And so you have a lot of flexibility. This is just a guide. It's not a requirement to spend. I know we kind of get that way when we think of other government agencies sometimes, and I'm not trying to name one, but they think of that money spent. As you look in the past, we don't spend all the money that's authorized. It's just a guide to say, what are the plans? And so if you look at the budget, you're going to see, first of all, the tax rate's the same. And then we took the goals the board adopted, primarily the goals of additional road resurfacing and additional paved trails potentially, and then a long-term park plan. And if you see in the budget, there is money set aside for those items. And that's a significant increase there, and everything else is pretty much staying the same. And so now, when you were allocating that money for roads, that's still going to go back to your court to decide how much and when and what roads, as far as doing the subdivision plan, but we'll have additional resources available set aside. And if you decide to do something in parks, the same thing is true, and or trails. Trails is also can be, depending on what it is, can be in that road budget. It's transportation, and trails can fall under transportation, or it can fall under recreation. So with that in mind, without going over a line and knowing that you can bring up things now, or if you have questions or things in the future, the goal today is just to get to a point where you're comfortable with this document, then going to our next meeting so the public can also see it, and getting to a point where they can then comment. So we're not trying to finish today. We're just trying to get to a point where you're comfortable to take the next step. So I don't plan on going over every line unless you want me to, but if there's certain things you want to cover, glad to do so. And if you have any questions, we can start with whatever questions you have. So
we appreciate the Finance Committee. Dan answered a number of questions that were posed by the members of Finance, and understanding some of you weren't there, and of course those that were, you're welcome as well to inquire at this time. Any questions, any comments you wish to digest it further? As Dan has said, you'll have more opportunities both at the next meeting as well as even before. If you stop in the offices and you want to sit down and ask specific questions, that's always welcome as well.
I only had a couple questions. I went through the budget. The budget is in the township. This is my first go around with a budget, so it's a little different because a lot of the departments are the money is split amongst departments, the way I understand it, right? So like, just an example, let's say a truck is used by utilities and services, and part of it's for services and part of it's for utilities. So my question is, when I look at this budget, I'm trying to figure out what do we really actually spend on department heads? What do we actually spend on supervisors? You know, like, I can't quite get a number what exactly we pay you every year and we pay Rod every year because it's split amongst departments.
Sure. Mine is not split amongst the department. There's a department for me and mine goes into that department. So mine is not split. His is split because he's working different departments. Mine, as the superintendent, has its own, just like the treasurer, clerk, and supervisor, and the board itself. The four of the other trustees are all put separate.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's a lot of, like I said, I've never done a township budget. I've done tons of budgets with other organizations, and it's very
So if you look at the way the board approves the budget is they adopt it in a resolution by department, and then with each department there's a wage category. And within that, you're authorizing the expenditure for wages toward those lines. And so we can't exceed those lines in the wage category. So you're authorizing us to hire employees staying within those lines. And so that's how it works. If you want specific ones in employees, I think you and I should just meet and we can discuss that, or if you want, if whoever you want others, if others are interested.
But it's risk available? I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Oh, sure.
So like, it's like go utilities and go, okay, well, Joe's underneath there, and maybe a portion that's from Rod. And
sure.
So you got so many employees. I'm trying to get my hands around how much money is in this budget for how many people that we have, so that if you're in a committee and a person quits or two people quit, you're like, okay, so what do we got to do to, you know what I'm saying?
Information.
So that's the way my brain operates, and then I operate different than other people. But
it is confusing. Like utilities, you have the people who are out in the field, but you also have the people who collect payments.
Right.
And you have the people who are processing different items for it. And so it is interesting, but I'll get you that information. So
that's just my mind when I look at the budget. I'm like, okay, I get what you're doing, but it's confusing to me because that's not how I would put it together.
I just need to know the information you're looking for, and we'll get you that information.
Okay.
So.
All right. Well, that's my question.
Sure.
Yeah, and I would agree with Gary, and I had asked that in the past too, is I know we can't do it. We have it by departments. We don't need every employee listed, but I think the assistant to the township manager should be a separate line item, as well as roads. Lumping in sidewalks and trails, I don't think that's the right way. I think it needs to be broken out, because then there's more clarity on what it's for, which brought up the issue, has the budget been revised since our finance meeting under parks where the $400,000 for the item of trail shows zero activity, but we paid a check for $347,000.
The budget hasn't been, previous history, for 2021 gets updated every week as we approve bills.
Right, and showing zero. I just wondered if it's been updated for the latest version.
Is that in 2020 it shows zero?
2021 activity.
So the item of trail payment, remember, was in 2020. So 2020 has the trail payment because that's when we approved that.
Okay, and I guess that was my question too. So it's back at $400,000 again for 2022. Is that going to be removed from that?
Well, that's what I mentioned. Is the board, is one of your goals was a park plan, and as a board goal, it wasn't specific to us of what you were thinking there. So we allocated resources depending on what you would like to see as you develop that plan. And so we're assuming something would come from that, but we don't know what it is. So if you don't have something that you want to do there, we would not spend that money. So
where does overtures go? So you got 2.25 and you spent, let's say you have a budget of $5 million and you spent four.
If you look at the township in general, it's called fund balance, okay? So government operates a little bit differently because the laws require us to.
Right.
And so the general fund operates on they call it a modified accrual. So essentially it's cash basis, like your home, but it's modified accrual because you have to keep track of receivables. So it's not a true cash basis, but with that you have the fund balance, just like what your net worth would be for a company, what the net equity would be. And so with that fund balance, if you allocate that each year, it's your starting point, and then whatever you don't spend goes into that fund balance and then is resourced, or a portion of it is resourced the next year. So if you look at the revenue side, you'll see prospective contribution from fund balance. And if you look at one of the first pages, and this is a flexible document there, is telling you a portion. You'll see, I'm sorry, I'm looking at it in a little bit fine print. I think it's on page 1 or 2. Page 1 there, you'll see contribution from fund balance about halfway down, account 599, and that's about $2.7 million there proposed to come from fund balance. And recognizing two things, that when we anticipate revenues, I try to anticipate conservatively. We don't want to be coming to you and saying, you know what, we're in trouble. And when we look at expenditures, we try to anticipate conservatively. So that frequently causes us to have, we don't spend all the money. Just because you put that in there doesn't mean we're going to run out and go, let's spend it. We're going to come back to you and say, what do you want to accomplish? Mm-hmm. And if you decide you want to spend it, you do. And if you don't, then that money will go back into the fund balance and it'll be available the next year. And so it's money in the bank. It's essentially what it is. And it's constantly a changing number. So you start at a certain point, and as the year progresses or changes, it changes. We don't know exactly what taxes we're going to bring in. We don't know that answer. We know close. So we guess conservatively.
Right.
The township receives two significant sources of revenue, and then a lot of other smaller ones. But the two main sources, of course, are property taxes, and the other unknown one is state sales tax that's shared with us. We get a portion of the state sales tax, and that's allocated on a population benefit. Based on our population. And with 54,000 people, in the past, it's always gone retroactive to when the population census was taken. And so, but I anticipate that the people who got too much money last year are going to complain, so we'll see if we get it. So we're not quite sure, but we're anticipating a significant increase allocated to us because our population share is higher. So our state constitution requires that the sales tax collected in a 2-month period, a portion of that. So the school gets a portion, the state gets a portion, but a portion, it's like, it was before they added the other 2%, back when it was 4%, we got like 15% of the original 4. I'm just saying it, and then they added 2% exclusively for education. But of that original share, that goes into a pool that's allocated based on population. So that extra dollars there, we're anticipating bringing something in 2021, that the state legislature has to allocate that to us. So before it will be sent. So we'll see. Normally when that's happened, they've taken away money out of the back pocket, You understand what I'm saying? We got other resources, other places, those all dried up. So, but then we did get our money because they have to give us that. So, and then of course you'll read the communities that lost population complain. So, of course, the fact that they've been getting too much all along won't be really the issue, but it'll be that obviously how to fund the additional dollars that we didn't receive.
Dan, thank you for developing an excellent budget. To go from 2.75 down to 2.25 and be able to maintain that another year is outstanding, and then to be able to increase some of our services or monies is excellent also.
I didn't want to imply something different there. I don't think there's any trouble maintaining it. I wasn't suggesting we're in any issue. I know you read about that, at least I'm told on social media, everywhere, how financially in trouble we are. We are not in trouble. We are very comfortable. We're in a good place to be. Our community is growing. We have additional houses. And of course, that puts a demand on services. So you're going to constantly see this pull for additional services. But, you have the other side. So.
Our neighbors are about 11 in Kent County or in Granville and over in Hudsonville. So it'll be 2.25. Just at our cottage, just West Shore College is 2.50 just for the college. And we pay 2.25 here for all the Georgetown services.
GT is the place to be.
Becky, you're really involved in social media, more so than anything, maybe anybody on the board. Are people saying that we are in financial trouble? That's the first I've ever heard that here. I don't know where that came from.
I wasn't trying to dwell on that,
The
sorry.
extent to which
I wasn't trying to dwell. I was trying to squelch you when we're not talking about
I'm still involved in social media. My scope has narrowed tremendously as we've tried to focus on some like mental health and family pieces, but I haven't heard that in particular.
All right. So, it would be grossly incorrect.
Yeah, we're very stable. Where we're at. So
Yeah, I think it's probably just based on when the village was lowered and the muck land was acquired. Dan had stated, well, you guys can do it, but there's no more spending, no more projects. So I think people picked that up. And then I think also the auditing team said, you know, you guys had to contribute, what was it, $1.125 million from the general fund to balance the budget. And you said, it's fine now, but you can only keep this up for so many years. So I think that's probably where.
Okay.
We're not poor. We're not rich.
So
we got to be smart about how we spend our taxpayers' hard-earned money.
So you don't need to vote on anything today, but if you're comfortable, you know, then we'll plan on moving forward with this. We'll put it on the agenda for the next time, and that way the public can see it before you have to do any voting on it, and you might hear additional suggestions then, of course, and then the public hearing. And so now the millage rate, we have to get this adopted by the end of September, so that's an important time frame. Again, I'll just say, you can go ahead and amend it October 2. It doesn't matter. You know, so there's time. And as it gets closer to the year starting, we'll have additional information. You know, we're projecting revenues, you know, 6 months in advance of the year starting. So that's a long time for things to change. So as the time gets closer, then we can make suggestions for amendments if you think it's necessary. So.
It's like choosing your fantasy football team like a month before the season starts, and then I don't know who's going to go down.
Does the millage get voted on every year, or just stay the same until you change it?
You have to formally adopt the millage.
Okay.
So there's a hearing required, and that's part of the budget hearing. So sorry.
Anything further at this time? Way of discussion about the budget?
Thank you, Dan.
There's nothing to be voted on, so thanks, Dan. And again, Dan and Rod are an open door, and we'll be here, of course, at the next meeting. So, all right. Item number 12, board committee assignment changes. Ryan came to me recently and was hoping to fill an open position we have on utilities. That's why you see this on our agenda this evening. Is there a motion to approve of appointing Ryan or moving him from the services committee over to utilities, where we have a vacancy currently?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. Okay, any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. I think you're staying on services too, right? You're doing it all?
Everybody else gets it.
Okay, there you go.
For about 5 minutes.
For about
I guess more than 5 minutes. So we have like
all right, we come now to the Board of Trustee candidates interviews. We have 4 really qualified, excellent candidates tonight. And we've had discussion the last time we were here about possible protocol for this. And of course, we took a vote this last time. We were fortunate enough to have a lot of interest. And out of that, we had 4 different individuals who garnered at least 3 votes. And they've been asked to be here tonight, which we appreciate, and they're prepared to address us and speak to us. And I guess I just want us to, of course, listen with an open mind and try to pick who we feel is the best qualified candidate. So that is our task this evening. Now, it was discussed as possible ways of handling this at Finance Committee that we have them each address the board for up to 10 minutes on 5 different questions that they've been presented with in advance, and even to draw randomly their name out of a hat as to the order in which they'd go. Again, under the idea that we have here, the protocol would be for the 4 of them to exit, go to the conference room over here, which I'm not sure is unlocked, but I'm sure will be, and then in the order they've been chosen to address the board. There is some question, and really I'm kind of ambivalent about it, whether or not when someone finishes, if the board would like them to go back to that room and have the next one come in, or whether you'd say, fine, let them sit in the audience. So, thoughts about any of this, board members?
And I brought it up before the meeting just because I thought it was just like an interview with a company. When you interview, you don't get to sit in the room while the next candidate comes in. So I think, let's discuss it.
Anybody have a strong feeling about that? No? Okay. Shaking your heads? Okay. Yes, you do?
No, I like the idea of time.
Then I don't suppose a change then would upset anyone. So to that degree, I'd like to make a motion then that we interview the candidates on the 5 questions they've been presented, and to draw here randomly from an Easter basket, I think, their names through the clerk here, and to have them present in 10-minute sequences before us. And as they complete that presentation, to go back to the side room, and then of course the last one who speaks will go and have them come back in the room, and we'll take a vote. So that's a motion, a long-winded one. Is there a second for that? Second.
Yep.
Okay. Any problems? Any discussion with that? No? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Just read the name as you pull them.
Dan Winarski.
Okay.
Adam Vanderband. Kirsten Manti. And Kelly Kyber.
Okay. All right, so that will be our order, and Dan will show you, I guess, to where you'll be, the holding pen, so to speak. And thank you to each of you. Yeah, Dan, right. But thank you to each of you for making yourself available. All right, Dan. You ready for me? We are ready for you. Yep, sorry. Yep. Please approach, and don't let the timer bother you, but I'm sure it will beep or whenever when it goes off, and if you haven't quite finished, you can just wrap it at that point, okay? Can you hear him, guys? Is it? What would you like? I mean, we're happy to take them, and all right.
Great idea.
We'll wait till you're done. All right.
So my name is Dan Winarski, and I'm very humbled and grateful to be here. I appreciate your time, and I appreciate the time of all my fellow citizens who came here to be here today. I wrote the answers from my heart today. I wrote them down ahead of time, just to help with my nerves, but it all comes from the heart. So the first question: if I'm selected to be a Georgetown Township trustee, what do I feel that I bring to the board? I bring the perspective of someone who is just an average person. I'm not a political insider by any means. I don't particularly want to be a politician. Up until today, I've never even met most of you on the board. I think 4 of you I've never even seen before in my life, but I'm really happy to see you and meet you. So the reason I applied is because of my growing concern for the direction of our country and my understanding that everything starts at the local level. I am a dad, a husband, an employee. I have worked in the private sector my entire life. So I bring the perspective of someone who isn't really all that special, to be honest, but maybe that's what the board needs. I know that an outsider's point of view is not enough. We still need Georgetown Township to be well run. We need public officials who have the requisite education, skills, and experience to keep the township running properly. Having opinions, not enough, right? I have a master's degree in accounting from Grand Valley State University, just up the road, and a bachelor's degree in business administration from Spring Arbor University. I have served as a deacon at my church, which is Cottonwood CRC, right down by Maplewood Park. Twice. I am in my 5th year on the church council there. I've also served as the chair of the finance committee at church. So I have experience working on boards and committees. For my day job, I'm the manager and supervisor of the accounts payable, accounts receivable, and billing departments for a regional welding and industrial supply company where I've been for over 13 years. So I handled job interviews, hiring, firing, disciplinary action, overseeing the 3 departments and working together with the corporate management. At church, I've set budgets as part of the finance committee, totaling over $1 million over the years that I've been on the committee. That wasn't in there. I just thought I'd add that. So mostly, what I bring the passion, trustworthiness, and dedication of a father who wants to see Georgetown be a place where my family, my kids, and my neighbors can flourish and grow. Question 2. In my view, what are the duties and responsibilities of a township trustee? I thought about going out and finding a list, maybe a job description, but you want to hear my answer, so I went with my gut and I said, if I had to sum it up in one sentence, it is keeping things running and keeping them running well. So what does that mean? That means to be responsible with the taxpayers' money as well as their trust. That means to make decisions behind closed doors that are the same as I would in public. I'm a big believer in transparency and integrity. That means to allow my faith in God to govern my actions. And to let my love for this country, the great state of Michigan, where I was born and raised and have lived my entire life, Ottawa County and Georgetown Township, to give me the energy and ability to do what is right for the people of Georgetown Township. Question 3, do I have any specific issues that I would like to see the board address? If so, what? Yes, I do. I probably would not be here if I didn't. I am concerned about the encroachment of government overreach. There are many, to be honest, bad ideas coming down from Washington, D.C., from Lansing, and even some from Ottawa County government. No offense, Kyle. It is the responsibility and duty of our township trustees to stop the advancement of these bad ideas. Because as I said earlier, all politics starts at the local level. Local government is our last line of defense. That is why I'm here. The 2 topics that raise the most alarm are COVID lockdowns and restrictions and critical race theory, or, as some people would like to spin it, the diversity, equity, and inclusion movement. Our township board must do everything it can to stop these bad ideas from infecting our communities. So question 4, what do I see or would I like to see in regard to the future of our home, Georgetown Township? I would like to see our township lead in every area that counts. Liberty, strong families, Judeo-Christian values, economic prosperity, successful schools, love for our country, and good governance. That means leadership from the township level. It also means holding other levels of government accountable when they break the trust of we, the people. I want to see Georgetown Township lead the way, not just follow, lead in all these areas. If we do, our community will continue to flourish. We're already flourishing, and I want to see that continue. So what prompted me, question 5, to seek the position of township trustee? To be honest, if you had told me 2 months ago that I would be applying to be a trustee, I would not have believed you. I do not want this job, but I am willing to do this job. And do it, most importantly, to the best of my ability. Because we need, now more than ever, we need good leaders. We need the voice of the average citizen to be heard. I want my 3 sons, Joseph, age 10, Matthew, age 6, and Lewis, age 5. Right now they're having fun with their mom at Charlie's Dump. I want them to grow up in the greatest community in Michigan, and that is why I am here. And we can continue to have the greatest community if we work together to promote the values and ideals that I have mentioned here tonight. So, I thank all of you for your time. May God grant each of you the wisdom to do His will, and I thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Well said. And as far as characterizing yourself as average, we are just everyday people. So you would fit right in that respect. So
thank you.
My hands are like nervous, sweaty for them.
It's incredibly difficult to do.
Hey.
Welcome.
Hi, Adam. Hi. All right. How do you start? Did you want me to just introduce myself, or?
Sure. Yeah, you've got 10 minutes, so thank you.
Are you guys going to ask the questions, or?
We won't be. We won't interrupt you, so you've got the floor. Yep.
All right. Okay. Hi. My name's Adam. Almost 35 years old. Let's see. If you're selected for the Georgetown Trustee, what would you bring to the board? Energy. Sorry, I'm nervous.
Hey, don't be. We're pulling for you. Everybody's pulling for everybody speaking, so comfortable.
I wanted to get on the trustees to make a difference in the community. Lived here my whole life almost, except for a couple years when I was in college. And at work, we work with a team of, there's probably 10 of us guys in the shop, working on semi trucks is what I do for a living. I work at a big truck dealership. We all feed off each other. Each one of us has our own strengths. Nobody is, you're on your own. This is, you got a question, you don't know how to do this, you go ask somebody else, and you all work together, find the best solution for the problem, which is kind of what you guys are doing. In my view, what is a responsibility of a trustee? I would say being a voice for the people, kind of like a rep, like state rep, but on a smaller level. You guys are elected to be the voice for the people, make the best decisions for the community to help it grow, and you would take, like say if you had a public hearing, listen to everybody's opinions about something, and then you would you talk amongst yourselves and vote on the best outcome for the issue at hand and try to make a better, try to make the best decision for the community and help it grow. I don't know if I have any specific, well, the only thing I would say that, specific issue for the board was, I don't know how it is now. I knew how it was maybe a couple years ago. Just me a little more, I don't know how involved you are, but like maybe more involved with outreach. Like I know when I was running for trustee last year, there was a guy that I heard something about him, lived at the top of the hill over by that, what was it? There's a restaurant over there by the old Hudsonville football stadium.
Sorry?
Yeah. Had some lights shining in his windows, and he said nobody at the township would talk to him about it. So I went over there to go put my sign in the yard, and I talked to him for like a half hour. Super cool guy. Just outreach like that, like talking to people about their issues and trying to help them have a better life in our community. That to me was fun. I would say like, I don't know how much of it that's done right now. We're going around like trying to see if people need help with issues like that. Stuff like that. Okay. What do you see or would you like to see in regards to... Okay. Future of the township. Like I said, I was born in '86. Grew up in Oakwood before the gas station was built, and used to play with my friends over there. And I moved away for 2 years in college and lived in Hudsonville for a couple years. I like to see the community grow, like how it is right now is crazy from how I was when I was born here. Moved for a couple years, came back. I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter and a 6-year-old daughter of our own. I consider both of them mine, and I want them to want to be here when I'm a grandpa. I want to see this community flourish like it is now, but just keep it going. I got a lot invested here. I worked in Grand Rapids. My wife works in Jenison. My kids love it here. We have family, friends. My family, my mom and my dad's family are from this area, and they've been here their whole lives. And I just want to see my kids and our friends' kids continue to want to be here and not move for jobs in the future or housing or what have you. Oop. All right, what prompted me to want to be a trustee? Last year I ran for a trustee position. I got 4,528 votes. And that was a little bit out of my comfort zone, but I had a lot of fun doing it. And I know one thing, I didn't find out about this open position except for a Facebook post my wife found. So I would think that the policy would somehow the policy needs to change, because I would have thought I would have been notified when Henry vacated her seat, and I don't know why I wasn't. My wife found it on a Facebook post. I kind of already covered it, why I wanted to, what prompted me to be a trustee. I want to see the community grow. I want to be in a position to help make decisions of the community. Like when a while ago when you guys gave the New Wall Company the opportunity to expand, that was cool. I got super excited. I was shaking. My heart was racing, because all I could think about was, he said they're adding 54 some jobs, and just in the warehouse alone. My kid could work there in a couple of years. She's 16. My youngest could work there in 20 years from now. My wife could get a job there. And that's adding 50 to 100 jobs in our community that's helping us grow, helping us flourish. That was super cool. I've only been to a couple board meetings, but it sounds kind of odd, but I was kind of like geeked out, like this is really cool, watching you guys go through and doing this. And that was kind of why I wanted to run, and that's why I applied, because I was still very interested in it. So.
Thank you, Adam.
Yeah.
Anything more, or you've got a couple minutes otherwise for us? Okay.
I'm good. Unless you guys have any questions you want to ask me.
Oh, thank you.
No? Okay.
Yeah, appreciate it very much. Who do we have next? Kirsten. Montai. Is it? If I pronounce the last name. Awesome. Thank you. And Kirsten, before you even begin, if you have something to hand out, one of the candidates did, you're welcome to do so. Otherwise, proceed.
Okay, great. Hopefully you have my letters of recommendations and my resume, all that good jazz.
Yep.
Thank you for inviting me back to interview and let me expand a little bit more about myself. So I'm going to run through these questions here. What do I believe I can bring to the board? Well, I've spent the past 12 plus years in corporate brand and business strategy, ranging from small business to corporate Fortune 500. I've earned the trust of many business leaders in the area, known as someone with character and conviction. There are numerous hard and soft skills I've developed over the years that I believe will serve this role really well. Here are two of them: empathy and consumer insight. Empathy is first. In 2018, I was a newly hired at New Holland Brewing. I was assigned the Dragon's Milk relaunch campaign. This was their baby and flagship. It was about 60% of their total business. I had come from a corporate brand management role prior and quickly learned and observed that the stakeholders and relationships here in this new, smaller business setting was different. All had skin in the game. All wanted their name on this rebrand. Recognizing the expressed passion around the project, I changed my approach that I would have typically done for a corporate rebrand, including an agency. I baked in more collaboration, touch points, meetings with the total internal New Holland team, including the founder, brewers, production workers, and beer distributors. I shared a few branding ideas, acknowledged that they were the experts in the beer, and asked if they would help me brainstorm together. Gratefully, we achieved on a unified focus. Once aligned, I used my communication talents to share out the final position to the internal team stakeholders first for feedback. This was to include them in that final process and also to drum up excitement with home base. Dragon's Milk Share Legend lives on today as a nationwide beer and brand. It's seen double-digit growth and success, all because of the time that was taken at the beginning of the process to gain trust, authentic collaboration across all parties in this small business. I've learned that empathetic skills is vital in all forms of change management, especially when it comes to conflict that is present. In these settings, I quickly identify my own process, yet strive to truly understand other points of view before jumping to premature solutions that may require change in the future. My second skill set is consumer insights or customer insight. My example here is when I was a marketing director for Wolverine Worldwide, Bates brand. Bates brand is a law enforcement and military brand, and I spent months of my job traveling across the United States in the homes of the law enforcement and military personnel. My role was to understand the person behind the badge. One of the insights that came specifically from our local law enforcement here in Grand Rapids and in Ottawa County was the need for our law enforcement officers to build trust with the kids that were encountering traumatic events. There was a secondary need as well. It was to address the suicide rates of those small children and also young adults that encounter these traumatic events. Not only that, but the officers had an increasing suicide rate as well in our county. Together with local prominent law enforcement, the idea of the Bates Bear was developed. We partnered with the Be Nice campaign to help create little tags on the side of these plush bears that had a little bit of a list of watch-outs of suicide and also a hotline they could call. I presented this to our president as well as the VP of Public Relations for Wolverine Worldwide to gain a $300,000 incremental budget to develop the 3-year roadmap, starting with the most needed police unit in the Midwest and then to the nation. What are the duties and responsibilities of a township trustee? First and foremost, my role is to represent the constituents of this community. This extends beyond my circle of influence. To fulfill this number one role, I'll need to reach out beyond my comfort zone to attempt to engage all members of the community to ensure a balanced representation is upheld. Understanding the current laws and regulation is also my responsibility. One community member asked me a few weeks ago, if I got this position and a proposal for a liquor license would come across for a vote for Baldwin, how would I answer? My answer was not a yes or a no, and I don't think it should have been. I share with you now what my answer is. Yes, of course, I love a good beer. I was the Dragon Lady for a period in my life. However, it doesn't matter what I want. I would go through a 3-step process. I'd start by suggesting that we survey community. What do they want? How do they view this proposed transition? Number 2, I'd ask what are the legalities and laws in place? How would this change the ecosystem of the community? Do a little bit of a risk-reward exercise. And then 3, how does this change the heritage or culture? How does that feed into this position? How would this enhance or involve the heritage? And how will this uphold the community's truth? This critical thinking exercise helps secure a community-led decision and establishes the decision was made with careful consideration over several sources. What issues would I like to see addressed? I'm not used to this thing. As someone who's coming in midterm and not elected by constituents, my role would be, what are the projects underway currently, and how could I help? Of course, I observe what's going on in the country and at our local levels, and I do see some economic hardships and headwinds. It will be my role and my job in this role to learn about the effects specifically for Georgetown Township. I will remain steadfast in fiscal responsibility, keep Georgetown Township beautiful and bright, assess the projected budget for current projects while striving to keep a pulse on the economic needs of our constituents as we ride this wave together. The future of Georgetown Township, how do I see it? As somebody who did not grow up around here, I can share with you my fresh eyes perspective. Georgetown Township is stunning. Its heritage and people are strong. I would like to see this township grow fruitfully while hearkening back to its foundation and heritage. That is what makes this place so special. It's not trying to be something else that doesn't represent its foundation. I don't seek to force my own heritage and traditions on Georgetown. That isn't my role. My why, it's pretty simple. And that is, I would like to embrace the opportunity to find ways to bring my work and my life talents to help enhance all that is good about this community and that my family lives in today. A little bit about me. I'm married to my husband, Eric, for 11 years, and I'm a mother of 2. They're running around probably outside. Who knows where. I told them to come in. Their names are Mary and Kirkham. We've enjoyed living and raising our family in Georgetown Township for the past 10 years. We've benefited from all that this community has to offer and its amenities that this board was a part of. Prior to moving over to this side of the state, I was born and raised in southeast Michigan outside of Detroit with a very lively first-generation Greek family on my father's side. My mother's side brings generations of small-town Michigan history dating back to the Civil War. My great-great-great-grandmother Kirkham, whom my son is named after, her grocery boy was then a 13-year-old boy by the name of Thomas Edison. He turned out to be a much better inventor than a grocery boy. Both sides of my DNA fostered a diverse upbringing in entrepreneurial ways, business acumen, and following the American dream. After attending St. Clair County Community College in Port Huron, Michigan, I was accepted into Western Michigan University's business school and graduated with a bachelor's in marketing and advertising. I'm active in the community, specifically in Hudsonville Public Schools. I also serve as a volunteer quilter for Love Sews Ministry out of Holland, Michigan, where we sew prayers into quilts of the needy and gift them across the United States and the world. I hope you've had a chance to review my letters of recommendation from Senator Roger Victory, Representative Luke Meerman, and the founder of New Holland Brewing, Brett Vanderkamp. Please let me know if you have any further questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Well done, well said. I saw a sticker for the first time that said Love Sews, and I thought, what is this? Got to be a ministry of some kind.
You were behind me. I saw you.
Okay. That was
with a Volvo that was really noisy because I had to fix them up.
Did I tailing you too close? Or
no,
okay.
Granville. Nice. I didn't want to tell you.
I saw Love Sews. I'm like, what is Love Sews?
You were acting fine.
Okay, good. All right, our fourth and final candidate. Welcome.
Thank you. A little nervous, but I always say whenever I public speak, if you get a little nervous, it means it's important to you. So my name is Kelly Kuiper, and I want to say first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity to continue to tonight's interview process. I'm grateful to be here, and I do not take lightly the occasion of this interview process and the prospect of your vote to become a trustee and representative of our great township. There are many lenses with which I view and live my life. Each of us have that unique position that we bring to the world and to this position. For me, I'm a woman, a wife, and a mother to two wonderful children. My son Tate is 2.5, and I have a daughter Natalie who's 5 months. I'm a member and volunteer of Hillcrest Christian Reformed Church. I'm a lover of leadership books, and most recently a small business owner, but nonetheless still a land planning and zoning professional. In addition, I'm a proud transplant to this community. Like many of the current 50,000+ residents, I sought out Georgetown Township, distinct from many other townships in the area, to build my home and start my family 5 years ago. However, I believe what I would bring most to this board is my significant public service experience. As a college student, I began my true love of public service and community development, completing internships with the City of Hastings, Berry County, Gaines Township, and the City of Grand Rapids. Following college, I came to work here at Georgetown Township in the zoning department as a public service specialist and was later promoted to a planning and zoning officer. During that time, I was also asked to serve on the Planning Commission for Caledonia Township. I served on that commission for 2 years and had to relinquish my seat as I ran for Township Trustee in 2012. I spent my summer at just 23 years old going door to door, and when I was elected that fall, not only was I the youngest Township Trustee, but I was the highest vote getter out of any of the Township Board positions that election. The end of my Township Trustee term in Caledonia coincided with my move here to Georgetown Township and the vacancy on the Ottawa County Board of Commissioners after the passing of Dennis Van Dam. Similar to this process, I applied for that vacancy, interviewed, and was selected to fill that 2-year term. I proudly served this community, District 6, until the end of 2018 and chose not to rerun so I could focus on the birth of my son and also on my recent diagnosis of multiple sclerosis. However, as someone who has spent 8 years in public service, I missed every minute of it and was thrilled when I was asked to become a member of the Georgetown Township Zoning Board of Appeals, of which I'm a current member. So with this level of experience, it's easy for me to say, in its most basic sense, a township trustee is charged with overseeing the proper administration of township government, protecting the health, safety, and welfare of its residents, and being a good steward of public resources. However, I believe the most important duty of a township trustee is willingness. A willingness to serve, a willingness to lead, and a willingness to solve or resolve any question, issue, or need that impacts this township and its residents. This means being transparent, being active within the community, and being dedicated to the well-being and success of the township and its residents. Along this line of thought, there are a few specific issues that I would like to see the board addressed. First, it seems that in an age of information overload, where most of what we need can be discovered through a few clicks of a mouse or a keyboard, people still do not feel as though they have all of the information they want and need regarding township decisions, future endeavors, etc. I would love to see the board continue to investigate the most effective ways to disseminate information to its residents. I know one current board member has an excellent online presence and is well respected in these online forums, and I think it's important to build upon that type of presence and the clear desire by our residents to receive their information digitally and quickly. A critical item of information right now in Ottawa County is the groundwater challenges discovered and addressed with a study in conjunction between the Ottawa County Planning and Performance Department and Michigan State University. As a township with significant municipal utility infrastructure, this does not have as great of impact on us as it does other communities. However, our 3 neighbors to the north, west, and south, Allendale, London, and Jamestown townships, are all impacted heavily. I would like to see this board potentially engage with the county and those adjacent communities to see if there's any opportunity for support, shared services, etc. Because although our infrastructure network eliminates some of these groundwater challenges, there are still many well and septic-dependent areas within our community that may be burdened. In addition, our municipal infrastructure network, physical resources, and general utility knowledge and experience may be an important part of the equation to be good stewards of the groundwater throughout Ottawa County as a whole. In addition, as a current member of the Zoning Board of Appeals, it has come to my attention that there are a significant number of township ordinances that need to be reviewed and potentially revised. As someone who is passionate about zoning and has dedicated my career to interpreting and applying zoning ordinances, I know firsthand how critical this work is to the continued success of our township. Given the substantial number of ordinances to be reviewed, I'd like to see the board empower the zoning department to seek professional resources for a timely and effective thorough examination of our entire ordinance. Such an undertaking is critical to the future of Georgetown Township. I believe we need to constantly consider how we retain we need to update that number, 54,000 residents. I think I wrote 52,000. We need to consider how we retain these folks. Our ordinances are directly related to their property rights and the way in which they use and enjoy their home in this community. This also means considering how we retain our residents' dollars within our community and therefore how our ordinances impact business owners as well. I would love to consider a charrette or open houses with our existing business owners to begin that dialogue as to how we can continue successful growth and enjoyment of businesses within our community. And now with the burst of development of 32nd Avenue and the I-196 interchange within the city of Hudsonville, it becomes even more critical that our township continue to be a destination for both residential and commercial. I anticipate Georgetown Township to see continued growth as Ottawa County in this area continues to be one of the fastest growing within the state. It would be my goal to maintain the critical balance between one of the area's lowest millage rates and highest levels of public service. In addition, though, as the needs of this community potentially shift, as seen recently with the changes to the way we live, work, play, and go to school, my hope is that this board can be flexible and forthcoming to meet whatever needs arise. I hope you can see and feel the passion I have for this community and for public service in general. I have a strong willingness to serve and a heart for helping people and communities operate at their highest and best potential. The timing with the last election was challenging with the upcoming birth of my second child. And while I love the work of the ZBA, my ability and capacity to serve this community is not fully met in that role. I would greatly appreciate your vote to have me join this board and look forward to what we can accomplish for Georgetown Township. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Kelly. Well said. Well, I don't think any of them used the full 10 minutes, which tells you they're not lawyers. Yeah. Sure. Are we going to have a discussion? I think, and where are they though? Yeah. Right here. I wouldn't mind when they come in just commending them briefly before we go any further. Oh, each one has their name on it. There you go. I think, I just want to say to each one of you who presented tonight, again, thank you. Still coming, sorry. Again, each one who presented tonight, thank you and very good job. I might have mentioned this the last meeting, but I stood where you stood tonight, had to give a speech, felt nervous and that sort of thing years ago when there was an opening similar to this, and was not chosen. And I ran, it was about a year and a half later, sort of like we have here, this is a 16-month position, and I was elected, and the person who had taken my place was not. So you just never know. All right. So keep that in mind that whether or not you're chosen tonight, and only 1 out of 4 can be, you may yet be sitting up here in the not too distant future. My second thought, I guess I would say to each one of you and any that wouldn't be chosen this evening, there are different ways to serve here in the township, whether it be on the Planning Commission, the Zoning Board of Appeals, or otherwise. And so keep that in mind as well, that those who have a heart to serve will find a place to serve. And there was no one I've heard tonight that I couldn't foresee aiding this township, because each of you seem to have a real heart for the township. So thank you. My suggestion, I thought, and my understanding was that we would take a vote, and if it seemed to be unclear based on that vote, in other words, I guess you could say AKA a tie or anything like that, that we would, I guess at that point, have discussion. Is there an opposition to that? Everyone wish to vote at this point based on what you've heard this evening, what you've studied and know, and then we'll see. It may be a moot point, it may be resolved and decided. And is that good? All right. So we're going to do so. Each of our, just so the audience knows, our names are on each of these ballots. So while we'll vote secretly from one another, we'll submit them to Dan, and then it will be public who's voted for whom. All right? thank you. Is it warm in here?
Just a little bit.
A little bit. More than usual.
My hands are sweating too.
My hands are sweating with like anxiety for that.
Okay, well, there's the scenario that I see as a possibility. I guess I'd like to open the floor. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Kelly Kuiper to the position of the open trustee.
Support.
Okay, motion and support. So at least there's a motion before us, and now it's completely open to discussion about anything that you wish to discuss about either of the two candidates.
The motion is what?
The motion was to appoint Kelly Kuiper, and the seconding of the motion was made by Becky. The reason I make that motion, in full disclosure, I don't know any of the four of these individuals. I've never socialized with any of you. Kelly I know only from having been in the Georgetown offices years ago when she was an employee here. And I think it was only ever in that context. So I've never seen you on a social basis. Didn't know the names of your kids or that, frankly, you're even married. So you let us know that through your resume. I simply voted for Kelly out of four good candidates because I believe that with the experience that she has, she is most qualified. When I consider it's a 16-month position, normally as a new trustee you have a time to ease in, learn, about what you don't know, and it takes some time. And I don't think this has that luxury with the short amount of time we have. It's probably useful to us to have someone who's been on ZBA, who's been on a planning commission, who's been a trustee, and who's also worked here at the township. I think it would be a benefit to have someone who can hit the ground running. And perhaps, frankly, if she were chosen, one of these other three might fill her place on planning commission, for that matter. I'm sorry, on zoning board of appeals. But that's my perspective. It isn't against anybody. It's really for what I see as maybe the right fit for this short-term position.
Jim, I see serving 2 years for the Ottawa County Board gives her just incredible experience. When Kyle was here, I mentioned to him if he'd come in more frequently, I'd like to see a stronger bond between all of us. But having that experience, being appointed to that position is incredible. Running in Gaines Township, 23 years old, getting more votes than anyone else. She's done this job and she's been elected, is incredibly strong. Her background, serving on the zoning board, bringing ideas that she would like to see us pursue that are quite technical, that most people would not have a grasp of, and she seems to have a passion for that. I'm incredibly impressed. It's tough all four of these candidates are very good people, and they're all compassionate. Her credentials make her stand out, and her experience makes her stand out. She could hit the ground running, as you said, and that's why I strongly support her. I think she would be a terrific candidate and would do well. That's how I feel.
And then down the line, whatever order you wish. Everybody's got an opinion, I'm sure. So.
Well, I would just say Kelly is fantastic. I served with her on the ZBA. But I think Kirsten made a point about listening to and working for the community, the constituents. And I know that was one of Catherine's big things, was listening to the people, and I didn't hear that. I heard it in Dan's and Adam's. But what really made it easy for me was a letter of recommendation from Roger Victory, our state senator, who talked about Kirsten's passion to problem solve, not being caught up in that, oh, this is how boards do things, but thinking outside the box, fresh perspective. and Roger stated, her greater good for the community and its future generations. And I mean, if you read his letter of recommendation, I mean, it's powerful. I mean, I thought it was fantastic. So I thought, this is easy. As well as the letter of recommendation from Luke Meerman, both talking about her dedication to the community, being a leader, and that passion. And I just see Kirsten as like a Catherine Henry, just working for the people. And Kelly's fantastic too, and she works for the people, but I think it's just too different. And they're both fantastic candidates. But I'm definitely leaning, based on those letters, it's hard to deny recommendations from the state senator as well as the state representative.
Thank you. Others of you?
I feel like put it on a spot when you make a motion like that, because everybody has their opinions on why they voted for somebody or somebody not. And I'm not going to disagree that Kelly comes with a lot of experience, but I've never been a township trustee, and to say we got to put her on just because she has experience doing things, well, then I guess I shouldn't have ran either then, because I didn't have any of those experiences she has either. I agree with Michael. I'll just lay it out there. I think Kirsten is a replacement for Catherine Henry. She comes from the outside. She's more grassroots. That's who voted last time. We voted for grassroots people. They put individuals like me on here because they wanted somebody that was a different voice other than you're a normal politician. And I'm not a politician. I'm a construction guy. And I enjoy the board, don't get me wrong. It's been very edifying. But having said that, there's a reason why the four of us, I got in and Catherine got in, because they wanted change. And Kelly is coming from a establishment view, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, she's got a great resume, but it's all political. And I think I liked Kirsten because of the fact it seems like she was coming from more of a grassroots area, and I looked at that as more of a replacement to what Catherine was when she was voted in. So that's my opinion. I'm not going to say either one of them aren't qualified. I just think you put us on the spot when you make a motion like that.
There's going to be a motion one way or another, Gary. So
I get it. I get it. I'm just trying to.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
I'm uncomfortable laying my cards on the table. I mean, of course, I've been doing job interviews all day today, so this is like my fourth one. Trust me, I've been asking lots of questions. So, that's my cards on the table. That's why I did what I did.
Sure. I think the letters of recommendation speak volume. Just everything that was stated in there, again, exactly what I was a complete outsider. Gary was a complete outsider. Catherine was a complete outsider. The people voted for an outsider, someone that hasn't had established anything that's involved in politics. We're brand new. I like the background of Kirsten's, her business background, her outside the box thinking. She's an outsider. Again, grassroots style. I think Kelly would do a good job too, but for me, my struggle is the fact that I have kind of a love-hate relationship right now with the Ottawa County Commissioners. The fact that she was appointed by many of those makes it very difficult for me in that category. I'm leaning Kirsten completely on that just because of the letters of recommendation, and I love the business strategy where she talked through situations, and that I think she's the only one that really referenced compared to the two, really talking to the people and getting insight from them directly. So that's my 2 cents.
I clarify one thing, and it's not to change anyone's mind, but we paint Catherine as if she were apolitical, but she's been on the Belding Planning Commission. She's run for state office. Yep. She's on the state local committee. She was on this board. So I think they're somewhat equivalent in that respect. But,
I think the committee was for like a month.
And this was for six.
Like one second congressional executive committee.
Yeah, Becky, you're the last one.
I think that I look for diversity within our board, and I think that we have some people that have strong business experience and business backgrounds and can bring us, sorry, that was weird, can bring us that perspective. Gary has often spoken of building business and the experience that lends to him, and I've really appreciated that feedback from him on this board. And we have educators and we have a lawyer, and I think that Kelly's strengths are that her background is different from ours. I think that she is ready to hit the ground running. I think that as far as a learning curve to get caught up with how matters of township business are handled, I think that her learning curve would be the least steep. She seems eager and willing to work hard. Kirsten, I'm so sorry, I can't pronounce Kirsten, right? Kirsten, you are highly qualified and compassionate, and I wish that there was two seats. Sincerely, I think that you guys both bring excellent resumes and great backgrounds and experiences, but they are very different. And my gut just feels like Kelly is a good fit as far as bringing a unique and different perspective.
Well, it may seem like a foregone conclusion, having all spoken to the motion, but since their motion is on the floor, we should probably follow through on the vote. And if it ends in a tie, then we'll go from there. So we should probably do so by roll call.
Mr. Schwam?
It would be, I'm sorry,
so yes.
The motion was to appoint Kelly, just to remind you. Yeah.
To appoint Kelly, yes.
Mrs. Steele?
Yes.
Mr. Belding?
No.
Treasurer?
No.
Clerk is a no. Supervisor?
Yes.
Okay.
3-3. So 3-3. So now, if I may, and again, I'm not going to make any motions right now, so don't worry, I'm not going right back into that. I recall at our church some years ago when it came to deacons, we had run into a situation where having narrowed them down, we ended up picking a name out of a hat, which seems very random. But when we've both and all affirmed that there's not an unqualified candidate before us among the two, we've each expressed strong preference for one versus the other, but no one has really nullified the ability of the one that's their second choice. Is there an openness to some sort of a random way of making a decision? I think that's what's done sometimes actually in political races, not uncommon that.
Yeah, we don't do pistols anymore.
No, we don't do them. Because I think the alternative is to hold a special election, and we know this on finance, you may know it as well, but I think it's been estimated it would cost $40,000 or something, so we clearly don't want to go down that road.
And I'm not sure it will because Hudsonville comes to the well once a year in May, and speaking with Justin Roebuck, May would be the election, and the principal of some elementary school was at service today and saying Jennison's proposing a bond or a millage, something's coming up.
No, we passed one, and the spending of those funds has just begun.
I'm trying to think of last time Jennison came looking for money. It's probably not too far off. So we're going to have Hudsonville there.
If we're on the ballot, we pay.
We're on the ballot, we pay here. So,
Jim, I'm for a random flip a coin or pull out of a hat. Versus paying $40,000.
Yeah. Okay, that's two of us.
I think it kind of makes a mockery of the whole thing, especially based on this voting shenanigans to begin with.
What would be a mockery, though, to have two qualified candidates be chosen randomly in a way that doesn't favor one or the other? I mean, it would help break a tie.
I don't know. I don't like the idea of spending money on a special election, but I look at that as just kind of a random draw. And then I go back to who did the constituents vote for? Catherine Henry. Who is the closest to that? And I know we've got differing opinions on that.
So
not an easy one.
Better idea than a random solution or drawing. I'll make a motion that we randomly draw a name out of a hat, that same Easter basket perhaps.
Support.
Okay.
Just a lot on the line, even in a short term, because we have to replace this guy right over here.
Right.
And there could be completely different sides of viewpoints on who needs to replace him. And that, to me, I can't leave it up to chance. I would rather have.
What should we do?
I mean, it's just, there's just too much on it to be, because Dan needs to be replaced in the next few months. So I can't do that. I can't just leave it up to chance. As much as it pains me to say, I think the people need to choose that at that point. Not me.
Becky and Gary, I guess you're the remaining commenters on that suggestion.
I don't see an alternate other than the draw, to be honest with you. To bring it to a vote, it'd be very expensive. And, I think that's the only way to go. I mean, I don't like it, but I think that's what's going to have to happen.
Becky?
I don't like the idea of randomly pulling a name from the hat. I don't think that that's the fiscally conservative and fiscally responsible, or that, sending it to a vote is the fiscally conservative and fiscally responsible way to go. And so it kind of feels like we're between a rock and a hard place, and I don't like either answer and wish that you hadn't just asked me for my opinion, because I don't have one. I want them both.
That's Well,
I was going to say too is, and part of the reason I couldn't vote for Kelly is because I'm on the ZBA with her. I'm like, she can't leave there. I see her as a role as, if it's something part-time, replacing Manette, because Manette's on her way out, so she would be a phenomenal assistant zoning administrator. And then I guess I go back to, so John only voted for one candidate. I guess this could make it easy. Who would have your other two been? Would it have been one gone for person? Is that?
I see her as being incredibly overwhelming. I did not have other choices. I think she stands out so far from the crowd because of her experience and being on Ottawa County. Very frankly, I think it should be a slam dunk for her. It should be. Be honored that she was willing to even run. And with her background, she's phenomenal. Now, if you want to take and run a special election, we will be in local news, state news, and maybe even hit national.
Well, I know
because we can.
Come on.
We'll take them dramatic.
It's in the news. In fact, many places have done it. Wright Township had 3 of their 5 trustees resign on the spot after the primary. Stuff happens.
Wow.
Yeah. That was a special one because Justin and the Board of Election Commissioners had to appoint 1 trustee because they didn't have a majority. They only had 2 members left. Yeah. So they appointed 1 member. Those 3 voted to.
Are there points with Kristen that are so offensive that you're going, okay, she cannot be on that position?
Who are you referring? I think your name's mixed up.
Kelly.
Yeah.
Would you say there's something with Kelly that she gets on?
I think anybody has said that about either one. I really don't.
So you have 2 candidates, and they're supported 3-3. They're both good people. And right now we can't come to an agreement. It's frequently you will have a flip of a coin or a drawing when something is like this. To call a special election that's going to cost $40,000 when there will be a general election in about 16 months seems logical. I'm really surprised we even are considering having a special election. I'm shocked. Now, if you've got something against Kelly that terribly affects you,
that's not what it's about, John, and that's what you always do. For you, it's a motion. Never
call for the motion. That we've got a motion on the floor, and maybe call for the vote on that motion. I can't tell. It might be 3-3 again, but we'll find out. Would you take a roll call? The motion was to draw the name randomly from a hat. Okay.
Oh, it's not questions, Zach.
Mr. Schwam.
Drawing from a hat? Yes.
Ms. Steele.
Yes.
Mr. Belding.
Yeah.
Treasurer.
No.
I'm going to go with the casting of lots side. And I'm actually going to say yes on this.
Okay. Casting lots is, proper term.
And
Yes.
Supervisor.
We don't have an ephod, so it has to be the casting of lots.
The casting of lots. They do that in churches many times.
By the way, we're glad you're on this council. We were just looking for former trustees.
You have the,
I do, and I don't want to be anywhere near it, Dan, quite honestly. And I don't think there should be anything about the way in which the papers are put in there that would favor anybody. And that even makes me a little nervous.
Kelly and Kristen, I hope that however this goes down, that you guys both run in 16 months. Because I think that you're both incredibly qualified, and I would be really curious to know what our electorate, thinks, and I wish you both well.
Hang on, would you all be more comfortable if Dan were to hold one name in one hand, one in the other, and they have to pick a hand? Because I feel like, you almost feel like, are you feeling like whatever way they put it in there, that it's, if you're all comfortable, I'm okay with it.
someone in the public to do it?
I would maybe the sheriff, or pardon me, our sergeant.
Sorry, come on.
He's like,
Come draw for us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. How about in a laptop?
How about just one hand behind the back?
Whatever you need.
On the stairs and whatever.
You voted to draw, so.
All right, yeah, we voted to draw. So, should we have Sergeant?
There you go.
Of course, you don't do anything when you come here, so we're going to give you a job.
Make sure you notice there's two papers sealed.
Feel around, just move them around, and then move them around.
Did you get only one? Kirsten.
All right, welcome,
You
Kirsten.
should make a motion.
Motion at this time to appoint Kirsten, right? Is that right? God, I'm going to get it right. Motion to appoint Kirsten as the new. It's not intentional. Motion to appoint Kirsten as the replacement trustee. And supported. Okay, at this point, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right. Well, thank you and welcome. And you actually, we're going to have you come up at this time, and we're going to do
She's
swearing in.
Swear your oath
That's what I mean.
office.
That's when you come up and do the swearing in.
Do you want a picture or video of your swearing in?
Right.
I'm a really good photographer.
Get out here if you would, and we're going to have you.
Incredible
If we would
branding.
have Ryan out here in front of you.
Do you have a camera? Let me take pictures for you. You'll just hope
We'll
that you
share
have
them.
them.
We'll share them. We can share.
I got you. I promise I won't forget your stuff. Oh, good.
Are they here? I think right out here. Yeah.
Sorry. Is it?
If you want to stand over here, so Gary and Michael in the background, you might prefer that.
You don't want us in the background.
Versus
kidding me?
No, back there.
You trouble, Jim.
Do we have a Bible available?
I do not have one on me. No.
Have a what? Do you want a microphone?
We don't have one.
I do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that I will faithfully perform the duties of this office of trustee in and for the Township of Georgetown, County of Ottawa, and State of Michigan, according to the best of my ability. So help me God.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Congratulations.
I think she takes a seat up here now.
Jim,
Calm
want a
down.
picture of the new board then while we're here now or not?
That's not a bad idea.
Well, I'm just saying, we're here now. It's like, yeah.
Might be a good time, Rod or Dan, to just take a picture of the board as a whole.
Yeah. Do you have that signed? The signed?
Yep.
For her, I know.
We can take just a moment for the picture and the signing and so on before we go to the next item on the agenda. I said it, I'll say it again. Adam, Dan, Kelly, thank you
It would be best if the two on the outside would.
Okay, all right.
Brian, can I close your laptop screen just so that we're a little bit cleaned up for our picture?
Jim? That water bottle and that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let me get my soda cup out of the way. Sorry about that. Okay.
Sit? For the front row, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, front row sit.
Sit down.
That's what we do. Go pause.
Sit down.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
1, 3. Okay, thank you.
All right. Okay.
I had math.
You got the sheet?
That's true. Who did?
Did.
Oh, I didn't.
We're like standing like 5 feet apart on the floor there.
I think we snuggled right in.
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh, broke code. That is item 14. So,
Could I make one comment?
no, absolutely.
I just want to say that, Kelly, you are a phenomenal candidate, and I'm glad you're on ZPA. And I think, that part-time zoning administrator thing. And Dan, fantastic job. Adam, fantastic job. I think there were a number of very qualified candidates, and this wasn't easy. Hence bringing it down to a random draw just took the seriousness out of it. For me, there's some fantastic candidates. And I know it's not easy putting yourself out there, but I for one appreciate it.
All right. Anyone else? Otherwise, we'll.
You guys are all on notice you can't quit. I don't want to do this again, okay?
And though I do think this is a great opportunity to what Ms. Nagy said, to have some type of protocol moving forward, that if this does happen, we have a smoother transition, that's what we do moving forward. So I think we do need to, at this time, in the future, coming up here, we need to figure out what is the process if this ever happens again and make it smooth and easy.
And I think, if I could comment on the process this time, it was relatively smooth. I think the only wrinkle in it maybe being the number of people voted for, and if that were to be ironed out as the thing you want to make more sure, then I think, yes, we could do that. But I think by and large it worked. It worked.
Yeah, and just maybe have it in writing that that's what we do. That's our policy and what we do moving forward.
And then the candidates will know that if it does come down to a tie, it will be a flip of a quarter drawn from a hat. I think and we can take care of that in finance at our next meeting.
Yeah. Okay.
My recommendation is that whatever bit's written down includes the words Easter basket. I don't want to say flip a coin. We pulled out of an Easter basket. Sorry, just kind of lighten the mood. It's a late night.
Keep it right down there, Becky. All right, item 15. The FOIA appeal that was brought by Grandpa's Gravel, and I guess I'd like to launch with a motion on this one and put it on the floor to deny that appeal, and ask if there's a second.
So moved.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Before you now, each of you is familiar with the FOIA request, with the appeal that's been filed in light of the denial of that request. It was seeking attorney-client privileged communication. And so, the floor is open. If there's anyone.
I guess I'll start. For me, the downside I see of it is it kind of sets a precedent where others will look to that and say, well, what did you discuss with your attorney? On the other hand, I looked through the attorney's opinion, and I didn't see anything, unless I'm missing something. I didn't see anything that was like glaringly bad that we wouldn't want visible. And I think the first sentence I saw was something about generally. I'm drawing a blank on what it was, but it was the first thing. I wasn't even sure. Like, well, it's generally prohibited. Generally prohibited. It's already just loosey-goosey in my opinion. So that I looked at, and I looked through others, and I didn't see anything in there that was really like, oh, smoking gun, we can't let this be seen. But I wanted to get the feedback of other board members to see what they found reading it.
I might say as an attorney, I think the reason that a request like this would be made would be then to attribute motives and thoughts to those who cast votes that wouldn't necessarily be the motives and thoughts. That is, they will use the disclosure of this document in some way to argue that if they think it was right or they think it was wrong, and presumably they would think it was wrong, right? That therefore the vote itself was flawed because they relied upon wrong information. Who knows what those board members ultimately, those planning commission members, fixed their vote upon? This may have had an impact, it may not have. But the assumption will be made by the one requesting it that it ruled the day, and therefore you must, overturn. And so, revote or visit it here as a board. And so I think it opens the door to speculation and to argument that is unduly, again, speculative. So I would rather not allow, because I think it's important, obviously, not to set the precedents, you say, Michael, as well as I think it would cause unnecessary legal mischief that would be unfounded. That's my perspective. So.
Right, that's one of the things I wanted with your opinion as an attorney, how you felt. And I think, and that's the tricky part too, is because with a township attorney, we don't go out and say, all right, we're going to hire an attorney and say, just look at all this and you give us your opinion, non-biased. No, we say, here's what we're trying to do, attorney, do this for us. I mean, you hire the attorney that gets you the opinion you want. They're going to work in your favor.
I disagree with that. But
anyway, nothing against lawyers. Yeah. We're not going to get into the lawyer thing. No, but it's the same, and it's the same way as that opinion can influence a planning commission member in the same way a zoning administrator can influence planning commission members or zoning board of appeals members with a staff report, which happens all the time. I've talked to a couple of attorneys who specialize in that. They said it happens across the country. Zoning administrators directing planning commissioners and ZBA members with a staff report. So I think that's the kind of tricky part is the attorney is going to say, here's what it is. Planning commission members are going to read it, and they're going to go based on that. So it's not an easy decision with this. I just look at it and say, is there anything so bad that just couldn't be shared, or could parts be redacted?
The thing is, though, is the planning commission runs under different rules than what a board of trustees does. So, like, if somebody comes to planning commission, we're not allowed to talk to those individuals. We're allowed to look at the property. We're allowed to make a visit. But our communication cannot be with the subject. So, when you get into a situation like we did with GR, I think the reason that the attorney was brought in is because they could come with a different perspective than probably we could actually do, because we can't, our investigative authority, and I've only been on planning commission for a few months. This is what I'm learning, that we can't do certain things because we're under a certain set of rules.
Ex parte.
So it's not like, it's not as open meeting as what the board of trustees is. It's a planning commission. We're dealing with zoning. So there's certain things we can or certain things we can't do. I'm learning that myself. So like I get phone calls from individuals to talk to me about, like, I can't talk to you, and I completely hang up on them, or I don't answer emails. In fact, if I get emails, I forward them right to Victor. So you understand, somebody emailed me, but I can't respond. I'm not going to respond. So there's certain things that we have to be very careful of from a planning commission standpoint. So those rules have all, and I think Manette brought up all those rules when she did her presentation to us too, what the planning commissions, what they can and cannot do on that board. So
I feel like we might be straying a little bit though from the request at hand, which is do you want to uphold the denial of this appeal, this FOIA appeal, or do you want to grant it?
I think, as Gary has referenced, the task put before that group is already a steep one because of the red tape that they have to operate within. And to take away their confidence in attorney-client privilege feels to me like it would just be making their job harder. I think that they need the opportunity to operate under attorney-client privilege. And so I think that we should continue to keep those internal documents private. And that means, deny the appeal.
Anyone else?
I agree with Becky.
Okay. Anyone else?
I didn't really see a lot in there that would be too much to worry about. But that being said, for me, it comes down to you don't want to set a precedent. You don't want to set a precedent. And for me also, it's very difficult to try to do anything that would counter a completely denial in the planning commission. I mean, it was unanimous. So I think I just don't want that to be a precedent as well, where you can just bounce off of one to the main board and then get something changed. So.
Okay. It'd be unfair, Kirsten, to expect you to opine on this. So, and it seems like you're welcome to say anything you wish, but you don't have to feel compelled to.
Okay.
I think we're otherwise ready to vote. The motion before you is to deny the FOIA appeal. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, so it's decided. Item 16, second public comment period. I promised it a while ago to all of you here. You're welcome to stand and address us. Up to 3 minutes. Any topic you wish.
Introduce myself again.
Please.
Kim Nagy, 2407 Basswood in Jenison. I moved to Jenison from Niles, Michigan in 1998. When I moved to Jenison, I was raising my 2 kids and was looking to move somewhere that would be between Grand Rapids, where I was employed, and the Lakeshore, where my family was. I talked to my stepmother, Betty Nagy, who at the time was assistant superintendent of schools in Grand Haven. She said, buy a house in Jenison or Hudsonville. Your kids will get a private school quality education in the public schools. I moved to Jenison. My stepmother was absolutely correct. My daughter was able to graduate a semester early from DePaul because of credits obtained in AP classes at Jenison. My son took advantage of dual enrollment his senior year at GVSU. I worked in Hudsonville as a choir director for a year, and I served as vocal director for musical theater in Jenison. I have seen the excellence of our schools firsthand. At the last township board meeting, there was a baseless attack on our public schools and a suggestion that the Georgetown board should defund schools. The lack of understanding of taxing authority aside, this attack is highly concerning. People move to Jenison for schools and safe neighborhoods. We don't have fine dining and entertainment opportunities. Our schools are the heart of our community. The suggestion that the schools can have a millage was interesting. As we have had several, our neighbors voted yes on things such as the Jenison Center for the Arts, new buildings in Hudsonville, and the ECC. We support our schools. I hope this board does the same.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
Dan Winarski, 7788 Canary Lane. My wife and I were ready to send our kids to school until the Ottawa County mask mandate came out last Friday, and they just yanked the rug underneath from us. I would encourage you to consider doing whatever you can to encourage the county to either override the health department or possibly even as a board pass a resolution exempting all students in Georgetown Township from the mandate. You all know what you can do better than I do, but anything you can do to help us parents would be greatly appreciated. We feel like we're in between a rock and a hard place here. I have tried to obtain medical exemptions for my kindergartner, who I don't want to wear a piece of paper covering 2/3 of his face for 7 hours a day. He's not a threat to spread COVID to anyone. But it is impossible to, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought because I was interrupted. It is impossible to get a medical waiver at this time. religious waivers are up in the air. So my wife and I are now faced with the choice of either submitting to a symbol on our children's face that has largely become political, not medical, or homeschooling, or trying to find a school that actually has the courage to stand for parents. I talked to a private school principal today, and I asked him if another government entity other than Ottawa County were to stand up and defend parents' choice, would that affect the school's decision? And he said it very well may, because he's in the same position we are, that he feels like he's not getting any support from anyone else. So I would just encourage you to consider doing what you can, whether it has the force of law or whether it's more moral support. And there are many families at my church. I'm on the education committee at our church, and they're in the same boat we are at this point. We feel like we don't have anyone to support us. So I would really love support from you, and thank you for listening.
Dan?
I'm a little bit shorter, sorry. Hello, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity. I was not planning on speaking, but I heard some things tonight that really motivated me. I'm pretty young. I'm 25. I go to Grand Valley. I'm a recreational therapy student there.
Jessica, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, and I'll ask that they start your timer over, but you have to start with your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Lex Russ. I am 10295 42nd Avenue, apartment 1211, District 1, voting for Georgetown Township. So there were some things that, I felt like I wanted to speak on. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with several different immunosuppressive disorders, and it's something that I never thought I would have to talk about openly with people and be vulnerable, especially during times like right now. I get infusions on a monthly basis that wipe out my immune system. And during these times, I don't have a choice. I have to wear this mask if I want to stay alive. I've gotten COVID already. I've had 3 vaccinations, and I'm still terrified. My mom's a teacher in Jenison, and she's terrified for the first time. I've seen her terrified for the first time in my life, and that scares me. My entire life has been about helping others. It's not about focusing on what I've been diagnosed with, what I deal with. It's about helping those around me. And it's hard to watch the empathy leave others and my neighbors in this area. I just finished my field work this summer at Children's Healing Center. I work with a lot of kiddos, all under the age of 18, who deal with immunosuppression, mostly cancer diagnoses. Most of those kiddos have had to wear their mask their entire time, and they have not complained once. They're the coolest kids ever, and they have more empathy than I have seen in most adults. And I just wanted to speak on that today, and I'm not an average person. I don't think anybody's average. I think everybody has something special about them. And sometimes those special things are important to talk about, especially if it makes you slightly different than the majority of the population. It is hard for me to go grocery shopping. I cannot go grocery shopping in person right now because there's still such high numbers. And I just want people to realize that we all feel out of control right now. And it's hard not feeling in control and having empathy for one another and realizing this isn't politics. This is about taking care of one another as a community and being there to support one another. Not about Republicans, not about Democrat, liberal, conservative. It's about being there for our community, period. But that's all I wanted to speak on. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thanks, Lex.
Hi, I'm Cal Essenberg, 816 Rosewood Street, and I just want to, my next door neighbor is AFAB Park. And it's been a really good neighbor. I see the sunsets in the morning, and I also get to see people drive in at 2 a.m. Just doing things that they do in the park at night. But I do want my 3 minutes are twofold. I would like to thank the Ottawa County Sheriff and Georgetown Fire for their willingness to show up at calls that they need to and protect people in the water, and also thank the board for the money that they give to the fire department. Sometimes you're like, why do we need a boat? Why do we, and I've seen the boat in action, and I just want to thank them for that. And I also would like to encourage the board just to take a walk around the park. And I've lived there for 20 years, and it seems like the last 10 years there's a lot of algae in there, and if you go kayaking in there, you'll get your paddle stuck. I know you're treating it, but it just seems we're not sure what's going on there. And with when they put the sewer biodigester in there, if you walk around there, you will always get a smell of sewer. So it's not on Chicago Drive anymore. You push it back to the park, and it's just kind of just not the greatest smell when you're walking around. You smell sewer. And with the senior center right there, when they did that sewer remodel thing, they built a cement path. And so with the senior center, and you have a lot of people in wheelchairs, if you would actually take a look at where that cement is, if you would fall off the edge of that, there's like a 2 to 3 inch gap, and then you would roll down into the water. So from a liability for the township, wondered if maybe somebody could come out and take a look and say, yeah, we should maybe build like a foot extra safety zone. Like my kids ride the bikes, if they go off that, they're going to go tumbling down. So just from a liability, I love the park. I'm not complaining. I just encourage you guys to walk around, and they even have stopped mowing around there. So there are certain parts where you can't go double, you have to go single file to go down the sidewalk. So I would encourage you guys to just take a walk and enjoy the park that you guys helped create, but also maybe if you guys could look for some improvements that would make it a more enjoyable time for everybody. So thank you.
Thank you. I see Becky on our services committee writing notes feverishly here. So
I love to go take a good walk at 8th Avenue Park.
all right. Hi there.
My first time. My wife and I plan on coming here on a regular basis to be more active. Appreciate your time. My name is Peter Outbeer, 2067 Ocala. I just kind of want to agree with what was it, Dan was saying about the mask mandates. It was kind of last minute for a lot of families, and we're not quite ready to homeschool ourselves. We would have liked to have a little more time to decide that. I understand how things work, but I just want to disagree and say it'd be nice not to have the children wear masks and not force it upon them. It could be a choice, optional. But I know I can't control that, but I thought I'd at least voice my opinion. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
James Dykema, representing Grand Rapids Grove at 1405 Taylor Street. Just wanted to take a couple minutes for some things on the record. First, I'm disappointed in the denial of the FOIA. Jim, you made some points about it would just be used for speculation. You go back and read the minutes from the July 21st Mineral Mining Board minutes. 3 different members of the Mineral Mining Board stated either, I will defer to legal opinion, so I am against the importation. One said, based on the legal opinion, and another one said something along the similar language where they specifically called out this was the memo that they are referencing in order to deny that condition. So I disagree with its speculation when at least three people have said that. My other issue with holding the memo confidential is, as Michael said, evidently there's a sentence in there that says generally prohibited. The person that wrote that legal opinion previously referenced on July 7th that the ordinance that it was prohibited was based on the previous zoning administrator's interpretation of the zoning ordinance. So we have a zoning administrator that has had her ethics called into question, directing the legal opinion for that legal opinion to then be written. And then that is what at least 3 members of the Mineral Mining Board based their decision on. Furthermore, that legal attorney at said meeting, at the Mineral Mining Board meeting, recommended to the Mineral Mining Board to act out of meeting procedure that the Mineral Mining Board has and the Planning Commission has had set by Georgetown Township. So we have an attorney who doesn't even know the meeting procedures, recommends to not follow meeting procedures, and then we have decisions by the Mineral Mining Board based on that attorney, who's an outlier, not a representative of the township, make those decisions. I find that concerning. I also have brought other concerns where there's been a couple different FOIA procedure set forth by Georgetown Township. Multiple times has that procedure been broken by township staff, and I've raised that, and I haven't heard any response on that. So that's a little bit concerning. We set these the Georgetown Township sets these ordinances. The business has to follow it, but Georgetown Township staff does not have to follow it, and that's a concerning way that I think the township should kind of look inwards and see if that's how they really want to govern. And my last point is, on July 26th, I submitted an appeal to that Mineral Mining Board decision to be heard in front of the Township Board. Now we're almost a month later, and I haven't heard any sort of response from staff on if that appeal will be heard. So, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sandy Bloom-Roskamp. I live at 2487 Cedar West Drive. First, I want to say thank you to all of you for the work that you do. It's really hard, and no matter what decision is made, there's going to be someone that's not happy, and I'm sure you'll hear about it from somebody. And so I know that it's a really, really hard job. So thank you for volunteering. Well, I'm sure you get paid something, but it's not worth what you get paid. And also, I don't know if it was this board or it had something to do on the county level, but in regards to Cottonwood and Fillmore, where they were talking about bringing in some other fill for gravel, I know our community, and I live right next to 24th, was very, very much opposed to having all of those trucks come through. And so I don't know if that had something to do with it or not. But if you had something to do with it, I want to say thank you, because on 24th, there's no sidewalk. It's a house upon house. It's a residential area. And so having all of those gravel trucks come through and bring gravel, it's dangerous where it's being routed right now anyway with all of the construction, because there is no sidewalk. And so I am very much in support of that decision that gravel isn't being brought in from other locations because of the danger that it has for all the people walking there. There's bikes, they're walking their dogs, they're running. I'm thankful if that was at this group or if it was at the county level. So thank you for the work that you do. Appreciate it very much.
Okay. Seeing no one else, we'll close the second public comment period. Discussion or a motion to adjourn would also be in order.
I would just say, and I hope I didn't disclose, and I actually didn't disclose anything when I said the two words, generally prohibited, because it was not an opinion of the attorney, that was the opinion of the staff and our ordinances, which changed in 2013, which didn't allow them to bring in sand anymore. But once again, I still hold, and that way it's a tough one. But I think for transparency reasons, and if an attorney is giving information to a planning commission, they are influencing them, being directed by the staff. I'm not sure where I'm going with that, but it's something that concerns me. I don't think a FOIA request was the right. I don't know if that would have made a difference, and I can kind of see not giving that information to the competing team, obviously, but I don't know what the next step is. If it goes to a court, would a judge look at both opinions? He or she would have?
We've decided that matter, and I guess I'm not going to opine on that. But
well, I just wondered if anyone would be able to see it in the future.
I'm not sure how they'd roll on that. Anyone else?
I do have a question. I thought about this today. I'm watching the mask thing, and I'm just curious about. So the state health department says, yeah, mask, no mask. They don't seem to care. Then Ottawa County comes along and says, now we're going to have masks. And Dan brought up a great point. Like, so why can't we say, well, and I'm not going to make a motion of that, but I think it's something we need to think about. If all these places can make changes to people up above, why can't we make changes to people above us? I mean, why can't we make a resolution that we don't want masks, or the mask choice is yours in Georgetown Township? I mean, I'm just trying to sort through this. I mean, I get it. I read probably way too much, but I read through this stuff and I think, what in the world? Why is it that the state said, okay, there's only, from what I heard, there's only 5 counties in the whole state that are mandating masks right now, and 3 of them are here. It's all pile on right now. Kent County did it, so Ottawa County does it, Allegan County does it. I don't get the whole thing. I ain't got kids in school. Thankfully, I don't have kids in school because I'd be probably madder than most people would be. Trust me, I'm not a happy guy sometimes. So, but I'm a little bit frustrated because it just seems like everybody does what they want to do, and I go, fine. And I'll even allude to Ms. Nagy. My comment was never to disfund schools.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. You should address through the chair.
My comment in the last meeting was never to defund schools. My comment was collecting the money for the schools. I don't care how much money to spend in schools, public schools. My comment was, why do we collect it? That was my comment. That was my question. Why do we collect it? Let the schools collect their own money. I've never said anything about. I've had more than one person. You said something about defund. I never said that. That's totally out of context. So, that's what I said. But my point is, it comes back from last month. We do collect the money. In fact, we are the administrators of the money. So it does give us power.
So this is not the time, and you can speak to them after the meeting.
I'm just making a comment.
Yeah, no, and you're doing so through the chair, and that's fine.
Yep, and I'm just making a comment. I'm just something to think about, or I'm giving you guys thought points. I'm not trying to sway anybody to anything. I'm just saying these are things that come through my mind sitting on the board of trustees.
Your point about masks and Dan's point as well, I suspect that I know where this board stands, that a majority would agree with Dan in his expressed opinion tonight. The question whether or not there would be the authority to do something about it gets back to what we were talking about before, which is we probably need a legal opinion before you go off half-cocked. That might be something to talk about.
You are exactly right. I might know that. But
I feel that same sentiment.
But I think we could direct the superintendent to draft a resolution. Resolutions really are more symbolic. They don't have power.
I wouldn't do so this evening because I'm not sure that we're not looking for symbolism. I think we'd be looking for actual. I mean, we might be ultimately, but we'd be looking for actual authority. We don't have authority. So,
Township are established under state law. Okay, all authority comes under state law. We have no authority except what's provided under state law. The health department gets authority under state law, and one of those things that was overlooked all along for many years was health department has the power to make these edicts. And I think obviously people are looking at that differently, whether this issue or the future, because clearly you're going to have to define what is an emergency in the future, and that was never really contemplated in the law, is what if half the people don't think it's an emergency and half the people do. So to me, that's the crux of the law. But we have no authority whatsoever, and I think you were hearing the county commissioners say that authority is provided to the health department, under the state law, not to the county commission. The idea was to take it out of the elected officials' hands and put it in a medical person's hands to make those determinations. So, but to answer your question, we don't. That's the question I can answer you right now.
No, and that's why it's a conversation. That's why I brought it up. I'm not looking to do anything about it. I'm just wondering where is our. And you answered it.
That's not necessarily true either, Gary. If we could do something about it, we'd probably do something about it.
Well, we probably would, but I don't know if we can. And I don't think this is the meeting to do that, actually.
We don't. Yeah, okay, but appreciate your comment. All right. Anyone else? Otherwise, motion to adjourn?
Just real quick, Jim, I think it's wonderful. We had 19 people that applied for this position, and we had 4 outstanding individuals that have a real love for the township. One of the most difficult things in life is to stand up and be able to speak and go for 10 minutes, and they put their heart and their passion into it. And so I think it's wonderful. Thank you for being willing to do this and being willing to share and serve the community. And personally, I think this was a great way to resolve it. And I'm very happy to have you on board.
Thank you. Welcome. Happy to be here.
Okay. Hearing no one else, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? And the meeting is adjourned.